Okay, guys. Good evening. Welcome to this. Well, it's the first week actually of the online coaching that we do with our founder members coaching this week. If this doesn't make any sense to you, we're basically running a 6 weeks home bootcamp challenge, and this forms part of the online training as well as a few other bits and bobs. Anyway, we don't need to go into it too much, but welcome this little bit of training. I've called this Food Foundations 101. Okay, so we're going to really strip back food, nutrition. We're going to really, hopefully, I'm going to open your eyes into where some sort of traditional calorie controlled diets and all that is kind of going wrong. I'm going to teach you some new stuff about healthy eating and finally getting control over food. And I think it's going to be pretty illuminating for some of you. Okay, so that's kind of my main aim tonight, is to really just give you a good grounding in nutritional knowledge, okay, that you can actually apply to your own life. Okay, so as always, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give it a bit of time for people to come on. Hello Monica, how are you doing? As Monica's done there, just let me know, comment below, just tell me that you're here, send me a little thumbs up, a love heart, whatever you want, just let me know, and let me know whether you can hear me or not, all right? Because the sound doesn't always go through. So we're getting a few people on. Emily, my little sister, she's here. How's our little nephew, Emily? Is he doing all right? Let us know. Basically, I'm on my own tonight. Paul, not on my own. I'm coaching on my own. Paul is downstairs. Hey up, Laura, how you doing? Boo, love it. She's painting bloody furniture, believe it or not, doing the old shabby chic stuff. Okay, that's what she's doing. Hi Janet, how you doing? So some good familiar faces coming on now. We're going to let a few people come on. I will say that if you've got burning questions, if you're on the coaching program right now with me and you've got burning questions that you want answered in this webinar, get them in now. How you doing, Chloe? Get them in now. Comment here now, and then I will sort of later on when I scroll back to pick out these questions, then we'll definitely get your questions in. So if you've got something you want answering, something not clear, whether it's about food, fitness, or the coaching program in general, then get them down now. Okay, we'll just, thanks for your thumbs up, whoever that was. We'll just give it a bit of time, let people jump on, and then we're going to crack on. Okay, so for tonight I've got a few slides that I'm going to run through, and I'm going to ad-lib a little bit as well, do it off the cuff. I've got, in the minute, I don't know if you can see on the screen here, but my eyes are just constantly watering. I thought it was like hay fever, which I've never suffered with in the past, but last year I really suffered with it quite bad. What I think it is, Paul is like waxing and painting furniture, and I think it's the fumes from that sort of getting in my eyes. So if I start rubbing my eyes or whatever, that's what's going on. I'm not tired, honestly. So that's that. Okay, so when I start, if you can just let me know you got some sound. If someone can tell me that we've got some decent sound, then we'll pretty much crack on instead of wasting 10 minutes at the start when we could actually be getting into it. Okay, and people can always pick it up on the replay anyway. I have sound, but it's very quiet. Don't know if it's me. Don't know. I mean, I'll turn it up a little bit. See if that makes a difference. Let me know. Loud and clear. Good. Got sound. Brilliant. Okay. Right. We're gonna crack on. I always like to start this weekly training by just talking about what's good and new. Okay. The reason why I don't want to do that is I want to put you into a positive frame of mind. Okay. And we, as human beings, we love stuff that's good and new. Yeah, we love it. Okay, anything that's new, we love the idea of that. Okay, so your first task today, I just want you to post in the comment box there just what is good and what is new for you right now. It can be anything. Emily, it could be the fact that you've just got your little boy home, after giving birth and all that. It could be anything at all, and it doesn't have to be something that's incredible. It could be something as simple as, you know what, I avoided that bloody Mars bar earlier on, or it doesn't really matter. Sometimes people really struggle. They want the very best thing, but it's not really about that. It's about just identifying what is good and new. Okay, so post them. Whilst I'm waiting for them to come in, what's good and new for me? Well, we're a good few days into our coaching program. Okay, now a lot of the feedback that I'm getting is that the information that you're getting in the videos and everything is very different to what you've had in the past. I think people are quite enjoying it. I think people are getting quite a lot from it. Hopefully it'll make you think about food and fitness in a different way. And so that for me is incredible, because I just like the idea that I'm kind of making a bit of a difference, as cheesy as that sounds. So that's good, and it's new. I also like the fact that in our Facebook group now, people are posting and interacting without me having any kind of input sometimes, and what you're doing there, you've now got a new set of peers that are all got similar goals, and you're kind of working together, bouncing off each other, and it's becoming a community, something that I kind of always aimed for it to be, like this little bit of a community where you could get advice, because there's people in that community that have made some incredible changes in their life. I'm looking at Janet now. You look at Janet's before and after pictures, incredible, and that's a skill that she's learned and done. How you doing, Claire? You all right? Janet, back on track reference exercise, brilliant. That's definitely new. That's what we like to hear. Anybody else got anything good or new that you just want to kick us off with? I'm just sipping my tea. Get yourself a cup of tea and a glass of water or whatever, and we're going to get into this training. Okay, what's Chloe saying? Good. Finally got a regular gym routine. Brilliant. 4 days a week with a friend. Excellent. That's good. There's been a lot of questions actually this week about, am I allowed to do this? Am I allowed to do that? I just want people on the coaching program to understand that you can do whatever you want. It's one of those things, because what people want is they want me to tell them exactly what to eat and what to do for their training and all this kind of stuff. And although I can do that, and I've give you programs and I've give you a meal plan and all this kind of stuff, I'm a massive believer that all you need is the guidance, really. And what you're doing, I posted the other day that you're only one daily habit away from the results you want. Okay. Now, I'm not sure what that habit is just yet, and probably neither are you, but in the process of going through this coaching, you'll discover it, and so it's far better to kind of nudge and steer your current life. It's far easier to something that's going to give you a positive outcome than it is to just give you something all new, because like I've said before, when you do something, it suggests it's temporary, okay, and we want to become something new. We want to be that person who's going to the gym 4 days a week. Yeah, and we won't miss it. No more, no less, or whatever it is. Okay, but we become that person, and that's what it's about. So that's good. Claire's good. Makes a difference being held accountable by someone else. Yeah, I didn't get weight pictures through from everybody. There's a couple of people that are in the founding 20. All right, and I'm giving them a few days to kind of get in touch and catch my emails and reply and all this. And if they don't, and if everybody agrees, then I'm gonna offer the places out to other people, because other people could be getting this coaching and joining us and cracking on with this, and they're kind of on the sideline. So if you agree with that, kind of let me know. But that's good, Laura and Laura. You're doing incredible out there, walking and sharing your stories. And I was serious the other day when I said you make me piss my pants 2 or 3 times a day with your posts and that. They're really, really good, to keep them going. I'm sure a lot of people are getting stuff from that. Okay, we're gonna crack on. I'll keep refreshing to keep a check in what you're saying to make this a little bit as interactive as I can. And I'm going to start off with this little thing here. Okay, so the question is, who watching this is actively trying to manage body weight? Okay, now I ask that because some people aren't. Some people are not that bothered about what the weight's doing, or they're at a point in which it's just a case of like, if my belt starts getting a bit tight, then I'll just cut back on the food, and they can do that. But other people, it's very, very different. They're like actively trying to either increase it or reduce it, and therefore working hard at it. So that's my first question, really, because obviously what I'm what this little webinar is about, what this training is about, is for those people that are actively trying to manage their body weight and are trying to reduce it. Okay, so I just want to make sure you're kind of in the right place, or depending on what answers we get, I can kind of shape what this training is going to be like. Okay, so what about you? Who is? Give me a hands up, a little hands up emoji, or whatever, or take a thumb, or whatever you want. Okay. Yes, Janet is. Me, still have weight to lose. Get to a healthy weight. Brilliant. Okay, I'll wait for them to come in a little bit more. Good. All right, so the next question that I want you to really think about, and I want as many answers as we can get in our little comment box, but why do we actually eat? Okay, I want you to really think about it. Think about all the times where the end result is that we eat food. Okay. All right, and I'm not going to prompt you on any, but Chloe's saying yes. Monica wants to reduce it. I want to drop 2 stone in 12 weeks. Okay, right, brilliant. So you're all in the right place. What about the question then? Why do we eat? Okay, now I'm going to paint a picture with your answers here. Okay, so let's get them out as many as we can. Let's go a minimum of 10. I've got that there's like 5 or 6 people on this training now, so let's go for 10. That's like 2 each. Reasons why we eat. Doesn't matter if we replicate it or whatever, but think to your own lifestyle and what you do, and when you find yourself sort of perhaps pigging out a little bit, or suddenly find that you've got food in your hand and you're munching away. Why is that? Why are you actually doing it? Yeah, what's behind it? Boredom is a great one. Stressed, another great one. Emotional. Very rarely do I eat when I actually hungry. And I would suggest, Chloe, that very, very few people actually eat when they're hungry. And then I would also put money on the fact that very few of us actually really have eaten because we're hungry. Okay, but that's a good answer. Boredom, habit, yeah. Fuel, Monica, yes, that's a very logical reason why we eat. But yeah, we definitely need to get fuel from our food. Stress, another one. Cravings, I just feel the need. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? You just got like this compelling feeling or notion, or sometimes you just find yourself opening the fridge door. And who does this, right? Give me a number one if you do this. So you walk into the kitchen, you're like, open the fridge, full of food. Fridge is full of food, and you're just like, no, I don't really want anything in there. Okay, next one, open the cupboard, where all the crisps and biscuits and like the carb cupboard or whatever it is. Open that up. Yeah, I don't really want to go in there. Okay, next one, you open another cupboard where the tins are and all that, and you're like, yeah, food everywhere. Yeah, I don't really want any of that. And then you're back to the fridge, same again, as if it might have changed in the last few seconds, and you're like, and then you just end up in the carb cupboard grabbing yourself something that you can just snack on and eat away. Who does that? Let me know, because I know I do. Yeah, Claire, one. Laura, loads of ones. Social situations, Chloe, another reason why we eat. Definitely. Upset is a classic, Janet. Yeah, we have a good day, we eat. If we have a bad day, we eat. If we have a terrible day, we double eat. Yeah, when we're annoyed. Chloe's saying 1, yeah. So we do this little route around the kitchen. Now, logically, if we're hungry and we just want fuel, well, why don't we just settle on something that's in the fridge? And the reason for that is because ultimately, the reason why we eat is we want to change our emotion. And I've talked about this. I talked about this when we first launched the coaching. And I kind of said, we want to change the emotion. Now, once you understand that, once you get that and grip it and you kind of realize that, it's actually a really powerful place to be. Powerful? Liberating place to be, or whatever, because suddenly you're not kidding yourself that, I'm hungry. Right, now let's flip it. You're not hungry, you're just looking to change emotion. The next question on from that is the fact that you could kind of say, right, well, what else could I do to change my emotion? For example, the other day, I'd done a long day in the office. I mean, my day usually starts around 5 o'clock in the morning, 5, 6 o'clock, and I'm kind of grafting through. I'm very productive. I've got a good time structure, and I can blast through. Now, I'll get to a point in the afternoon. It usually is about 3:30, 4 o'clock, and I'm ready to go to the gym. I'm ready to do something else and have a break. Okay. Yesterday, I was like, right, I need to do something about this, because I feel this drain, and I need to do something about it. And knowing that you eat because you want to change your emotion, I thought about it. I thought, oh, you know what? I just want a bit of chocolate or whatever, just some kind of food. I want to do the old carb hunt around the kitchen routine. And because I understood it, I'm like, right, okay, I just want to change my emotion. And it gave me the ability to go, right, well, what else can I do to change my emotion? And I ended up going to the gym, and I didn't even do a training session. I just got in the sauna where I had no connection with the screen, nothing else. And I could sit there and relax, and I did a little bit of meditation and all this kind of stuff. And I felt better. I've also got another one where I'll literally just put my headphones in and have a snooze, knowing that when I finish my little snooze, whether it's 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 40 minutes or whatever, I'll feel better. My emotion will have changed. And sometimes, just by giving yourself time, because everything is temporary. I know, Claire, I don't think you'll mind me saying, but you had a real downer the other day. And my reply was, look, hang in there, because everything is temporary. And everything is temporary. So, yeah, what's your thoughts on that? What's this? Laura's saying, probably goes bed early for work, so I'm up alone and I think no one will know. Yeah, like no one will notice my ass getting bigger. That's a classic, isn't it, Laura? You know what I mean? I remember last year I did a 7-day water-only fast, okay? And which the health benefits for that is incredible. But there are times when you are compelled to eat food and it's so strong. It's really, really strong, And I used to think, well, I'd made this public declaration that I was going to go 7 days, no food. And there was times when I walked around the kitchen and I was looking at all the food and I was thinking, well, no one would know. But I'd know, And this is the thing, what you eat in private, you wear in public. And you're right. And I meet people like this all the time at Bootcamp, and they go, well, yeah, I don't eat a great deal. And I'm like, well, your silhouette, for want of a better word, tells a different story, but yeah, we kid ourselves like that all the time. Already feeling a bit more up than the other day. Brilliant. And just knowing that it's temporary, Claire, it's a really powerful place to be, You just sit there, and there'll be times when Paula and I are just like, I just need, the day is a down day, or the next hour is a down hour, or whatever, but it's temporary, it'll pass, and I'll be back on my feet, and understanding that that's what's going on, you can go, right, okay, I want to change my emotion, how else can I do it? And there's a million, another really powerful one for me is just going and having a shower, and as if, where this came from was Paula was like, oh God, you got out the wrong side of the bed today, and I remember thinking, well, why don't I just go back to bed and get out the right side? and that's what I started doing and felt really, really good for it. It isn't temporary, but you are in it that moment. You forget it's temporary and it's harder to get out of it. I don't know if it's just me. No, you're right. But it's because that's what we've learned, Chloe. We're very well practiced in wallowing in our own pity. We love pity as human beings. We love, the idea of feeling, it's like it becomes a habit. In this 6-week coaching, we're looking at changing that. So it becomes habit for you to go, right, it's temporary. I'm going to sit in it for a bit. But then at some point, it's time to get out, and to think on a different level. And that's kind of what we're talking about there. Right, we're going to crack on. Wait a minute. Okay, so if you want to eat better, here's the thing. Here's a quote that I want you to remember. Okay, type it out or whatever. But it's about, success rarely is about stuff that you're prepared to do. I will talk to people week in, week out, and they'll go, Craig, just tell me what to do. I'll do anything. I'll do anything at all. And when I go train hard and eat clean, it's like that. Okay, anything but that. What else can I do? And I'll eat fucking tissue and chew twigs, all right? And I'm like, well, just train hard and eat clean, Sort your sleep out. Drink plenty of water. No, I don't want to do that. Just give me the thing, and it's like, it's not necessarily what you're prepared to do. It's usually about what you're prepared to do without, okay? And this is kind of where it gets stuck, because if we're eating to change our emotion, it means that we need to do without those things that we've used, let's face it, probably throughout the whole of our lives to change emotion. Paula tells a story of when she was a child and she had a really, really close relationship with her grandma, and she knew every day that if she told her grandma that she'd had a bad day or a great day or whatever, her grandma was going to open up this cupboard where she kept all the cakes and go, oh yeah, Paula, this will make you feel better, you know. And she kind of picked that programming up to the point where, you know, it's like hypercharged now, supercharged, that good day, bad day, whatever. The default setting is what I'm getting to. The default setting for changing your emotion is food. It is the answer. And you know what? It's also everywhere. It's readily available. You know, it is everywhere. And, you know, our little story of going around the kitchen and looking in the carb cup, the fridge, and there's loads of food there, but no, that's not good enough. Why is it not good enough? Because you know it's not going to change the emotion the way sugar will. Yeah? Okay, so a little bit of a rant. What are we kind of thinking there? What over this week have you decided, if you truly committed, if you worked through your Conquer Food videos, and you should have gone through the first couple of videos now, what have you committed to doing without? Yeah? Let me know. What are your big hitters? Incidentally, whilst I'm waiting for you to answer, at the end of this, I'm gonna give you a little bit of a look forward into what we're going to do in our next session, but also set you 2 of your food tips to work on for this weekend. Okay, so earlier on I made a post about, you know, plan your weekend, otherwise it's going to go to rat shit. And I'm going to give you 2 things to work on. Okay, so that's coming at the end. So make sure you watch all the way to the end, or you watch the replay or whatever, to make sure that we have a great weekend. Remember, you can do a lot of damage in a weekend. Okay, so anything coming through? I hate this little delay. I wonder if I can get something where there's less of a delay. Or I need to get better at just sort of padding stuff out. Maybe I'll just start juggling, balancing some little act. Maybe I'll just shut up and be patient. Okay, we'll see what comes through. Let's crack on, because time is already knocking on. Right, so something else that I want to talk to you about is that not only do we eat to change our emotion, and we see food as like fuel, but another big thing that we teach at Team Bootcamp is that food is also information. Yeah, food, it's like you know, it's information to our body. Our body will create a whole load of chemical reactions and basically send different messages out because of what we put in it, right? Okay, we've got some answers here. No processed foods is a great place to start. Started planning my meals for the first time ever. Laura, my picture that I shared before, you know, that was me last night. I'd done my little sauna session. I went to the supermarket, bought loads of stir fry stuff, chicken, salmon, and all bits and bobs. And I was preparing meals, you know, and I've stuck to my prepared meals today. Paula schnaffled one because she hates cooking as well. I hate cooking, but you know, we're not cookists at all, if that's even a word. But we're schnaffling our food today because, you know, and it's about being proactive, so that's good. Monica's saying coffee, bread, and alcohol. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Claire's going to do without having any biscuits in the office. Brilliant. Laura's saying only drinking water. Increased nuts and seeds. Molly's saying dairy and bad carbs, and finding loopholes in my diet plan. Brilliant. Okay, I'll give you all some likes there. So some good stuff there. I like the idea that you've come up with this, and it's not, you know, I haven't gone to you, right, tonight, spaghetti bolognese with bloody courgette, you know, the old spaghetti made from courgette, you know, blah blah blah, 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 lean mince, because, you know, that's what you're starting to do now is shape your own life, shaping your own nutrition, and I think this is a much better way to do it. All we need, you know, we make every decision based, you know, bouncing it within a frame of reference. Yeah. So, for example, here's another one. If I said to you, okay, what is a decent salary? You'll all have your own individual frame of reference, whether it's high, low, bloody whatever, and you'll all probably come up with a slightly different figure based on your experiences and your, you know, what people have told you, all this kind of stuff, you know, what you think's fair, not fair, and we'll have this frame of reference, and you'll have a frame of reference for food as well. And it's about kind of changing this frame of reference. Okay, so that's great. What else? We've got dairy is a great one. Takeaways, not going to the shop. when we're not fancy, create a plan, shop to the plan, so stick with it. It's only 100% easier to say. It is 100% easier to say what you are prepared to do rather than what you want to not have. Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? I've started to go through this course, and it's called statement analysis, right? And it's what FBI investigators use to see if people are deceiving them and all this kind of stuff. And the reason why I'm going through this course is I want to teach the trainers at camp to understand when they're being deceived. Because picture this scene: someone comes to boot camp, pay a lot of money, we weigh them in, we run through the program. Now let's say they're off doing stuff they shouldn't be doing. They brought food with them, they're cheating, they're putting sweeteners in their tea, they're drinking their milk in their own room or whatever. We get to the end of the month, they get weighed out and they don't like the results. Okay, then what happens is the guy's going to go, well, we trust the program, we trust the food, so it's down to you and what's happened. And they tell this story, and I want them to be able to... What's going on? Hello? Sorry if that just dropped out there a little bit. I want the lads and the people at camp to be able to sense when there's a bit of deception, so they trust what they're doing. Okay, so I'm doing this course. Anyway, it basically says when someone makes a statement and they can go, right, Craig, what are you drinking? And I can say tea. Okay, I'm saying what it is. But when I tell you what I'm not drinking, well, tea it's one thing. Okay, we're talking about one specific thing. When I tell you what I'm not drinking, it can be an infinite amount of different things. Can you see the difference? Give me a little one if you see the difference. So if I say, Craig, what are you drinking? And I say, well, it's not beer. It can be an infinite number of things. Yeah, and this is what I'm talking about. You know, when you kind of go, or if I'm prepared to do this, I can either say what I'm prepared to do, but that suggests there's a whole infinite inverse of it. That makes sense. I hope it kind of makes sense what I'm kind of saying there. Yeah. Okay. So you know, there's in our anyway. I've gone down a rabbit hole here, but I hope you kind of understand what I'm kind of saying there. You know, and so what people will do is they'll tell you what they're not doing. I don't know if this is carrying on or what. Let me just. Paula, are you streaming something? Are you streaming something? Yeah, I don't know if that kind of dropped out or what. I don't know, but so we're talking about, you know, what you're prepared to do without, okay? And later on, like I said, I'm going to give you a couple of things that we want to kind of swap out or replace, okay, for this weekend. And it's a good hard hitting tip. Back to my point about food being information, okay? And I've got this thing about evolution here. So this is like man, women, human, Homo sapiens. We have evolved over 40 million years, okay? Actually, it's probably a little bit longer than that, but we've evolved for 40 million years. And during that time, we have developed these signals, these messages, which kind of, you know, it was about health and living happy, and, you know, before dieting even, everything came on, okay? And the trouble is, ding, 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 40 million years. So here's like, this is where we evolved in this time here. And only in the last 35,000 years, in fact, even less, have we started to farm foods and live in a different way. And I'll probably talk about this much more. Okay, it's dropping out my side. So if you lose sound or whatever, I'll just keep going. Hopefully you'll pick it up. But basically, you know, in the last sort of 10,000 years, we've started to, it's dropped out again. We've started to change the way we eat. Okay, we started farming, living on grains, beans, legumes, you know, starchy food. We moved away from the kind of food that we ate. But the messaging systems in our body is still the same. It's going to take our body a long time. The research is showing that the human body, some people are starting to adapt the ability to use dairy properly. Okay, you might think, well, no, we eat dairy. Humans are never designed to eat dairy. Calves were designed to eat dairy because it comes from a cow. Okay, but hello, Hannah. So the messages are still the same. Okay, now what we're going to teach you throughout this 6 weeks, as well as a whole load of other stuff, is what you can do to change those messages, how to send the right signals to make things easier, because you're always going to have emotion in the way. Okay, because we do things through emotion, don't we? Yeah, very rarely do we do things based on logic. If we did, our lives would be very, very different. Imagine if every decision you made was based on logic rather than emotion. You wouldn't be overweight. You'd be incredibly healthy. Because the other thing as well is that as human beings, we are pretty crap at identifying what is actually important. And we're very good at procrastinating or messing around with stuff that is not that important. In fact, some of the super successful in the world are just have been very good at working on the things that really, really matter towards their goals, and the rest of us have perhaps not had that ability. Okay, so that's that. If we just move the slide on a little bit, so some of you will be familiar with these. Okay, this is what we call the Eat Well plate. Okay, on the left hand side, so it's got all the different food groups and the Eat Well plate, and on the right hand side you've got the food triangle. Okay, all these things are presented to us in school. This is how we should eat healthy in the diet plans, even in the personal training courses. This is what you learn. Now, we evolved in essence to eat a fraction of this stuff. Okay, so probably a little bit of this. I don't know if you can see my thing on the screen actually. A little bit of the, no, I don't think you can you? A little bit of the pink down the bottom, yeah, so the proteins and that kind of stuff. A little bit of that. A lot of the green, yeah. None of the dairy. We were never designed to eat dairy at all, or saturated fats. A little bit of purple on the side, and none of this starchy carbohydrates in the yellow. Okay, none of that. But what's happened when obviously civilization just rapidly increased because of farming and division of labour, all these kind of stuff, we couldn't sustain the population on the way that we was eating right now in the Western world. Okay, so we started to farm foods, create breads. We started to refine and process foods to the point where we put in a whole couple of slices of food groups here, sliced them in because then we could sustain the population. However, because we weren't evolved to eat these things, our body reacts pretty poorly to it. Okay, we just, in some respect, for some foods we can't even digest it. It just messes up the signals in the body. Okay, is there a way then on seeing this more logically than emotionally, or is it a too open a question? No, you can, Chloe. There's a great book called The Chimp Paradox, and I'm sure you've heard about, and this talks a lot about you having a chimp that's really strong and powerful and very reactive. Okay, and then having your logical part of your brain. Okay, now what it needs is, it just needs a bit of time for your chimp to calm down. Yeah, and you can't fight your chimp because it's so much stronger than you, for your logical brain to kick in. You just need that little bit of time. This is why I say you need to tell yourself it's just temporary. And when I was doing my 7-day fast and I was really struggling with hunger, well, not really cravings, just the psychological trigger to eat, which we associate with hunger. One of the tactics I would use, I was literally set a watch for an hour and go, right, just for an hour. Okay, I'm not eating for an hour, and I'd go and find something else to change my emotion. Okay, and that is the way that you get logic to kick in, and it takes a bit of practice. Okay, but you can do it. But the chimp is incredibly powerful. So let's get into a couple of fundamental principles that I want to teach you tonight. Okay, we've done a little thing about evolution, information, all this kind of stuff, okay? But one of the fundamental things that I need to get across to you tonight and in this 6 weeks training, and the first one is you need to stop looking for the answer in fitness, okay? It's the first place to look, you know what I mean? If we was looking for something as if it was a frog and we're looking people start looking under the stones and the logs, and fitness just seems to be the place where people think, right, my answer's there. Now, you cannot out-train your bad diet. You will have heard that before, but, you know, some people don't accept it. You've got to understand that training is just the catalyst. Training just speed things up. This is why I'm not that bothered when people go, can I do a run on this day? Do I have to change this? I'm not that bothered. As long as you're active, because all you're doing is speeding it up. Now, of course you can work smart, and there's better ways and you can go to the gym and kind of not have a great effect, but when you're eating right and you're eating well, it doesn't really matter. And there's plenty of people that have got a great image and don't actually train a great deal. Okay, so first thing first, stop looking for the answer in training. Okay, so write in the comment box, I am no longer looking for the answer in training. Fucking do it now. I need you to understand it. I need to know that you've grasped it. This is one of the big principles that we're going to talk about here. To prove my point, how many calories in large pizza from Domino's? Minimum 1700. You know, you go to the gym and you try and burn 1700 calories. You are going to be there a hell of a long time. I did a training session with the rugby team last night, and one of the things was you just got to row for 20 calories. And it was an absolute ball breaker, you know, because it takes us. We will always, there's two things that we will always do. We will always underestimate how many calories we consume. It's back to this idea that we'll kind of, you know, we'll mess around with what we see. We don't recognize important things very well. Okay, so we will mess around, we will underestimate how many calories we consume. A bottle of wine, but what's that, 250 calories? What is realistically, how many calories in it? And we will always overestimate how many calories we've burnt. And this is the thing, we'll go to the gym and go, oh yeah, I've done an hour there, got a bit of a sweat on, I was out of breath for a bit, so I can have that Chinese and that bottle of wine. It's wrong. The minute you kind of break this connection that you can out-train the diet, that you can offset your pizza, whatever it is, through training, things will start to change. And a lot of people will say to me, and I know there's comments coming in and I'll get to them in a minute, people say to me all the time, I've heard that in order to get results, it needs to be 80% nutrition, 80% nutrition, 20% training. And I don't agree with that at all. I believe that to get true results, it needs to be 100% of your attention on food. Okay, 100% attention on your food. But it also needs to be 100% of your attention on training. The two separate factors, both of which need every bit of your attention, right? I hope that makes sense. And you might go, well, how do you split your attention? Well, because they're two separate things. Like, how do I give my wife 100% of my devotion and my two sons 100% of devotion? I don't separate the amount of love and devotion I can give into thirds. They each get their own bit. Like, I love my wife in a completely different way than I love my sons. Does that make sense? And this is the same with food and nutrition. They're different beasts, and they should not be stuck together because they are completely different. Let's have a look what comments are coming in. I'm no longer looking for yes. Good, I like it, Claire. No longer yes, like it, Rachel. Excellent, Chloe. I will look for the answer in training. Yes, brilliant. Monica, not love the answer in training, but training helps you keep on track. Yeah, so that's what I do. Training helps me more. Hannah, what do you mean? That's when you say that's what I do. Can you just explain to me what you mean by that? Monica, when you're saying training helps you keep on track, exactly that. There are, when we talk about habits, there are a number of habits that we call keystone habits. It's like the first domino in a whole row of dominoes, okay? And for training can be a keystone habit for a lot of people. When they train well, they find they want to eat well. If they eat well, they find that they control their sugar cravings better. if they control their sugar cravings, they can sleep better and all this kind of stuff, okay? For me, a big keystone habit for me is sleep. I know that if I sleep well, I want to eat well. If I eat well, I want to train well, and it's a keystone habit. So if that's what works for you, brilliant. And what we're going to do is we're all going to focus on our keystone habits, because why divert your attention to all these little facets when the smart thing to do is focus on that first domino that just starts off this chain reaction. We're getting into stuff that we're going to go to in later training sessions, but I just want to touch on it there as soon as you've answered. Monica, yes. Exercise, the calories out. Exercise means I can have a great... Yeah, because this is what I'm saying, because our brain is flawed. The way that our mind works is flawed because, we kid ourselves. Now we're not here to change that so much as just to realise. So the next time it happens, you can kind of go, hang on a minute, don't kid a kidder, And Paula and I have a saying in our coaching that there is no change without honesty, and that honesty starts with you. It starts by you going, right, okay, how many calories did I truly burn? How hard was I working? Well, pretty moderately for an hour. I was on the treader or whatever. How many calories is it? And then when you start to study the other food as well and go, right, how many calories are in this thing here? Blah, blah, blah. We're actually going to do a whole session because what we're talking about there is each calorie being the same, and calories are not the same. We're going to talk about it in a minute. Okay, so yeah, but we do it a hell of a lot. How are we doing? Let me know. What are your big takeaways so far? Excuse the pun. What have you learned? What have you revised? What stands out in your mind? Stick it in the questions. We're gonna crack on. So, what we got coming up? I just want to show you this, right? Because we're talking about this idea that people will tend to focus on training, and another reason why we do that is because we get instant feedback, don't we? Our brain wants to loop round, compare, contrast, confirm. That's what it's constantly doing, up to 5 times a second. And the thing with exercise is we get instant feedback. Yeah, so we go, train, legs hurt, we're sweating, feel out of breath. Bang, I know I've done something. We eat a carrot. Is that any good? I don't know if that's any good. How do I tell if that's any... we don't get that instant feedback. So, of course, we are naturally compelled to do the training that we get instant feedback from. Yeah, this is why... if we've got like a long-term strategy, sometimes we'll get caught up in the short-term tactics. Okay, so and it's really easy for us to do it. We get it caught with this in the same, in lots of different ways. Relationships is another one. When we kind of get caught up in trying to sort out the problems that are in front of our eyes, that we miss the idea that actually I don't want to be with this clown anyway. And so we do this kind of stuff all the time. Something else to sort of prove it to you is I've got this little graph here that I want to show you. I hate the fact that this little pointer doesn't work, but anyway, on the side we've got the benefit of something, yeah, and then on the bottom we've got how much of it we do it and how consistent we are. 2 factors that are really important: frequency and consistency. Yeah, because like I said earlier on, we are what we repeatedly do. So if we repeatedly focus on exercise and rest, there's actually a curve where at some point we start to get diminishing returns. Yeah, we start off, if we did no exercise and no rest, then we'd be down here. Yeah, we wouldn't be getting any kind of benefit. In fact, we'd start to get unhealthy, sedentary, ill, overweight, all this kind of stuff. Okay, and it goes. The more we do, that's brilliant, and brilliant. But there's a definite point in which you then start to become fatigued in both training and, in training, definitely. The fatigue for rest will be down here. And you might think, well, can you rest too much? Well, of course you can, because humans are like oysters, and irritated oysters make pearls. Okay, we need challenge in our life. We need friction, because if things are too easy, we become depressed. We've got no desire in life. We become flat. We need challenge. We need... Let me bring up this thing here, because you might... There you go. You can kind of see the whole thing now without my mush on it. But we need challenge. You know, we need a certain amount of stress to get us out of bed in the morning, to make us feel alive, to be human. So you can definitely have too much rest. Too much rest, and you start to get, let's say you never leave the house, you never do anything, you never sort of get any fresh air or go for a walk, or you just sit there and you're like, and the only thing you see is the four walls of your room, and there's people that live like this, and it can be too much. So there's definitely diminishing returns with regards to training and rest. And these, hang on a minute, go back. How do I get back? And these are the three main factors of your health and fitness: your nutrition, your training, your rest. The thing is with nutrition, obviously, if we don't put any attention into our nutrition, then obviously, we become very unhealthy and life becomes very, very hard. But with a little bit of effort, and they say, don't they, being unhealthy is hard and eating healthy is hard. Choose your hard, but nutrition will just keep on giving. No matter how much you do, you can't really overeat clean. Does that make sense? I know there's a bit of a thing at the minute where people are over consuming paleo brownies and stuff like that, but that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is the more that you dig down and learn about your body, and the more that you understand how you can promote health in your body, and all these different things. And here's let me skip forward a little bit to a slide in a bit at the end. Okay, this here is your nutrition and lifestyle questionnaire that we're going to do pretty soon. Okay, now look at the factors here for your health. Detoxification, different health zones in the body, fungus and parasites, the digestive health and microbiomes in your gut. You are when you eat, so this is about your eating frequency, what it's doing with your hormones throughout the day. Stress is another one, circadian rhythms, your sleep and all those fundamentals. And then you are what you eat, so what the different components of food that you're eating and what it's doing in your body. Okay, so all those different things. There's so many different things that we're going to learn and go through. And what I'm saying, if we go back to this slide here, is that the more you learn, the more you shape what you're doing. Fuck's sake, it just keeps on giving. It just keeps on giving and giving and giving and giving. So the logical thing for you to do is to focus on that nutrition. Focus on getting that right, because everything else will sort itself out. Now, am I right or am I wrong? Tell me. We don't do that, do we? We focus on the training because of that instant feedback, because we feel like we're making progress. Okay, so hope that I've made my point there. That what we almost need to do is the inverse of what the majority of people are doing. The inverse of it all, and leave everyone else to concentrate on, and then this is my big problem with a lot of the fitness gurus, is because people want the training and want the rest. That's not what they need to get the results they want. I just cannot sell you that bullshit. I cannot give you that crap and say, yeah, just do 100 press-ups, 100 squats every night, you'll be fine. That's not the truth. And I know it's not the truth because I just look at a burger and I put on a stone. I'm like you guys. I have sugar cravings and I have a desire to eat sometimes, which is so compelling. I've got to go and sit in a freaking sauna at 70 degrees to change my state before I bury my face in peanut M&Ms, and I feel it and I understand it. And some people are just gifted to have great genetics, and that's what leads them into the fitness industry. But they don't really understand the how much how strong the demons are, how powerful those things can be, and they've never experienced it. And I was telling this story the other day that I was once chatting to one of our trainers at Bootcamp, and he'd always been naturally fit, great image, and he was really struggling to resonate with especially some of the middle-aged women that came to camp. And we was doing a bit of coaching with him, and it suddenly dawned on me that he could not understand the fact that some people don't like exercise. And I said to him, do you actually realise that there are people out there that don't like exercise? And he went, nah. And I said, I'm telling you, they don't like it. And he went, well, if they don't like it now, they definitely did, they loved it when there was a kid. And I said, no, that's not true. I said, there's kids out there that don't like fitness. And he went, no, that's rubbish. Everyone's born to love fitness. I said, I've got two sons and they weren't born to love fitness. and he couldn't get his head around it. And that's, so a lot of these people that are gifted with this thing that they can just eat whatever they want, and it doesn't really matter what their thing. That's kind of my problem with it. We need to do the inverse, because we are real people. We are the majority of the population. We're not mega fitties. We're not mega gym bunnies yet. Okay, we're going to grow to love fitness, and we're going to get some great results, and we're going to get the image we want. But we're going to have to work at it. We're going to focus on the right stuff. That's what this is about. Okay, what we're saying here. Right. You're right. I didn't notice any changes in my weight or health if I don't get the food right, no matter how hard I train. Yeah, exactly, Claire. And by God, there was a time when you was doing more training than, you was doing 5 or 6 hours a day at boot camp. But it doesn't matter, because your body soon adapts. Your body just gets used to it. Okay, let's crack on, because we're rapidly approaching an hour, and we've still got a lot to go through. Next thing, just be careful who you take advice from. Quite often, we'll get on Instagram or whatever, and you'll have some influence on there who, like I said, have perhaps got great genetics. They can just seem to do whatever they want, and they say, right, this is what I do to get a firm bum. I do this 10 times every morning. For the majority of people, it's not going to work, and they kind of correlate their results to what they're doing, but actually the causation is that they've got better genetics, and that's just where they are. I've got tiny calves, right? Even though I run sometimes hundreds of miles over a couple of days, sometimes my calves are just never going to be big, because genetically that's the way I am. Now I could one or two things. I could do some mega calf building program with some bodybuilder, but I would, I'd mega massive calves, and it wouldn't make a difference. Or I could tell everybody, right, the key to skinny ankles is to do this program that I put together. And I could fill you full of that shit, but it's not going to get you the results you want. And this is what I'm kind of saying. It's like, if I had a broken car, I wouldn't take it to the milkman to get fixed. If my sink was pissing water everywhere, I wouldn't call in the sky engineer. Yet we take fitness and health advice from minor celebrities every day. Every day we think, okay, this is what's going to sort me out. But they don't know what they're talking about. So just be careful, kind of who you take your advice from and what they're saying. Listen, I'm gonna belt through this because we're kind of running out of time. I want to talk a little bit about modern day eating, right? Because I've seen some of the posts that are in the Conquer Food group over the last couple of days, and straight away there's a few little alarm bells ringing, and I just want to talk about modern day eating, and I want to know if this resonates with you. I will know it's resonating with you because you'll write me, that's me, I eat like that, whatever, in the comment box. Okay, so keep the comments going. But what's this? I used to spend 7 hours in a gym each weekend and loved it, but seemed to get more out of a very long, fast walk. Yeah, and you will, Laura, for the next 6 weeks, because your body will adapt in the next 6 weeks, and then you have to mix it up again. So it's about learning when your body is just starting to adapt. Mix it up, change it up. Okay, stop the body from settling down into one thing. Okay, but we'll get onto that. So modern day eating. This is how I used to eat when I was really struggling with weight. Bearing in mind that I was one of those people looking to manage weight. I was looking to reduce weight. Same as you guys. You made that statement at the start where you are looking to reduce weight. So knowing what I knew, my frame of reference through dieting and all this kind of stuff. This is what I'll explain. This picture first of all. This grey box up here, this represents a stage in the body where the messages in the body are telling the body to store excess energy as body fat. Yeah. Now, I don't know if you've ever thought about this idea that in order for our body to store excess energy as fat, a message needs to have been sent. Have you ever thought about that? Or have you just thought that this just happens? Like the sun comes up and the sun goes down. Okay, that's what happens. It just happens. okay, in the solar system. When you think about the tides in the sea, and you sort of think, well, what causes when the moon, the moon messes around with the gravity, which causes the tides in the sea, okay? You might look at the tides in the sea and go, it just happens. The sun goes up, sun goes down because of the way the solar. This is affected by something else. It's the same as your body. We kind of think, well, we've never really put that much thought into it, but something needs to trigger the message, okay? To tell our body to store excess energy as body fat. Okay, this other thing down here is what I call the crash zone. Now, some of you have experienced the crash zone this week. It's that period, that state in your body where you will kick the front door off the fridge and bury your face in Greek yogurt because you are just either ravenous, sugar cravings just pumping around your body. It's the crash zone. It's the times when you struggle the most to eat well. Now, I did a survey at the start of the week and I said, what times during the day do you really struggle? Hands down winner was the evenings. Now, that's no surprise to me, but hopefully it proves a point to you. When you're posting pictures of breakfast and all this kind of stuff, I pay very little attention to your breakfast. What I look for is to see whether you're posting about your evening meals, to see whether you're posting about your evening snacks, because I know that is the killer time period. Some of you, it's the afternoon, mid-afternoon slump, especially if you're at work in the office and all that. But, it's that evening. That's like the killer point where we hit our crash zone. Okay, so if you understand the crash zone, if you've experienced it and you've experienced it recently, tell me in the comments. So I'll wait for them to come in. Here we go. This is what I used to do. I used to get up in the morning. Now I'd learned in my frame of reference that a good breakfast was porridge. Okay. And so I was actually trying to lose weight, and so I thought, right, I'll have porridge. So what I used to have porridge with a little bit of yogurt and a little bit of fruit. Okay. What do you think to that? What do you think to that as a breakfast? You might think, oh yeah, perfect. Unbeknown to me at that time, the signals, the information that food sends pumps our body into this fat storage zone. Okay. Now, it might be that you're eating in such a fashion that there isn't any excess energy. Therefore, it can't store the excess energy as fat because there isn't, because you're restricting your body too much, but the signal is still being sent out. I need you to understand that. Okay. And actually, because of the type of food, porridge with milk, with dairy milk, semi-skimmed milk, because I'm trying to lose weight and it was about cutting fat, plus the fruit, plus the yogurt, bang, really strong signals, really strong. Okay, bump up into this fat storage zone. Okay, now because there was a very, very sudden spike, what followed was a very, very sudden drop. So mid-morning, I'm down here. I'm in the crash zone. I'm ready for kicking the door off the fridge. I'm ready to fight the woman next door to me that's got the bloody gâteau, to bloody schnaffle it all. But because I'm looking to lose weight, I would kind of fight those cravings. Okay, and then mid-morning, I would have a little snack. So I would have a banana or an apple. I might have a Rivita with some cottage cheese. I might have, a bit of fruit or whatever. Bang. Oh, shit. Sorry. Same again. Bang. Big spike. And what follows up into this fat storage zone. What follows a big spike? Poof. Big crash. Lunchtime. I'm now in another crash. I've got cravings again. I'm like, I want it. I'm ravenous. Now I've still got a little bit of willpower left, from this morning, and I'm like, right, I'm going to fight it. And for lunch, I'm going to have a jacket potato with some coleslaw, jacket potato with beans and cheese, or I'm going to have like a nice pasta. All these foods, I don't want to get too much into it, but Slimming World Weight Watchers, it's acceptable because of the SIN system and all that kind of stuff. So you would eat all these things thinking, this is health food and I'm doing really, really well. Bang, another massive spike. The signals in the body are telling my body to store excess energy as body fat. The other thing that comes with that message is the fact that, would it help if my face was on the screen here? Bring it up. There we go. So you can see me now. The other thing that came with this is, whilst ever the body wants to store fat as energy, it doesn't allow you to tap into your fat as energy stores. You're almost putting a padlock on the door to your fat. So if you're eating the way I was eating and you're training, thinking you're burning fat, you're actually not. And this is the difference between truly fasted and starving yourself. When people talk about fasting, they think, oh, that's really dangerous because you're starving yourself. No, you're not. Starving yourself is removing the body's ability to tap into body fat. Okay, so what it will do then is it will start to break down its own muscles and other proteins to use as energy. And that's what's bad for us. Okay, and this is what I was doing every day. And then what follows that big spike in the afternoon is a massive drop in the afternoon. And by that time, my willpower is just done and dusted. I'm in this crash zone. I get home. Logic tells me, get in the cupboard. You bought your stir fry stuff, make your stir fry or whatever, and eat that. Emotion is telling me, instead of eating your stir fry, which takes 10 minutes to cook, wait 45 minutes, that's not what's logical about that, for your Chinese to turn up or your pizza to turn up and pay a shitload of money to have the privilege of eating that crap as well. What is logical about that? My point is, I weren't in a logical frame of mind. No wonder I was getting to the evening every day and I was just eating complete shit. And anything that I'd done here during the day, reducing calories, I had just thrown out the window come the evening. And I did that every day. And not only did I do it every day, I did it on a weekly basis. So I'd restrict all the way to Friday. Saturday would just blow it all. Sunday, try and get it into some kind of order. Monday, I weighed myself, nothing's changed. Tell me if this is what's going on for you right now. Just tell me. And gotta go. Claire's in a bit. What stops the message? Laura, we're going to come on to that in a minute. We are going to come on to that, and we're gonna. Oh no! So Hannah said, "Oh no, you're going to tell me porridge and fruit are a no for breakfast." Hannah, what I'm going to tell you is you can eat whatever you want, but whatever you eat is going to have an effect in the body, and you ain't going to change that. Now, the good news is I'm going to tell you I can make your porridge and fruit better. Yeah? I'm also going to tell you how you can completely change the meal away from porridge or whatever, okay, and find something that works for you. But there's always a way of making it better. The key thing is that I teach you how to fish. I don't want to give you a fish by going, right, eat this for breakfast. Because what have you learned? Nothing. You're doing the same old shit, therefore getting the same old results. I want to teach you how to fish and to make these decisions yourself. And there's some really simple things that you can do, and I'm going to give you 2 tonight to work on over the weekend to start doing this. If that sounds like something you want, then say want in the comment box, okay? Chloe, exactly what I did tonight. Just went to the shop and got pasta instead of salmon and veg I had planned. Yes, because we act on emotion, not on logic, especially when willpower is low. And this is the thing about willpower. Every major decision, or most major decisions we make throughout the day will use up our willpower. Okay, it's like having a glass. This is a little cup that Paula bought me every morning. I have a black coffee in my little cup. I love this little cup. Imagine this was full of water. When you go to sleep at night, you wake up in the morning and this is full of willpower. But every time you make a decision, am I getting up today? Do I snooze again? Do I snooze one more time? Am I snoozing for the 10th time? You get the idea. What am I having for breakfast? Right, I'm following Craig's coaching program. Do I have this or do I have that? Another little bit of willpower gone. What colour socks am I putting on? What colour pants? What colour jumper? Which route shall I go to work? What time do I need to be at work? All these different decisions, you are constantly tipping out bits of willpower until eventually this willpower is gone. It's gone. You've used it all. Okay? This is why super successful people will wear the same clothes every day, because they want to reduce the amount of brain power they use making pretty insignificant decisions. Because if they're making a decision that is the difference between 10 billion in the future and 2 billion, well, they want to make a right decision. So willpower will fail you. And here's the other thing. If you're not sleeping well, you've got even less. Your willpower cup is starting halfway, 2/3, whatever, but you've got even less willpower in the cup. So we can't rely on willpower, is the point that I'm kind of making from there. Well, we got one. I never shop during the week. That's a brilliant one. Rachel wants it. Laura, Molly, Hannah, big thumbs up. I like the old thumbs up. Right. Okay. So, do I need to say anything else about this thing? So that leads us on, obviously, to, well, what's the difference? How is this program different? How are we going to do it different? And in order to teach you how to fish, like I've said before, I want to show you this thing first of all. Okay, what about if there is a way in which you can eat, the way that you can put your food together, where the messages are pretty slow and sedate and stay kind of below this threshold? I mean, this is obviously, it's a diagram, but it kind of paints a picture, so it stays below this little threshold and then comes down and stays above this little crash zone, and we just work through the day like this. And it doesn't actually require a great deal of willpower because we haven't got this health weight management issue up here, and we can actually tap into our fat stores to use as energy, and we avoid these highly emotionally charged super craving areas down here. What if there was a way that you could do that? And what would that mean to your life in 6 weeks' time if you could apply this to your life and you had this? What would it mean to you? All right. So I'm gonna have a little drink of water, have a little think about that, and put it in the comments. Whilst they're coming through, I just want you to tell you that this is, if I looked at the point in my own health, because I was a fatty, I was a fatty and a mega foodie. I love food and I drank too much, and I struggled for years and years. I tried it all, everything, even to the point where I was making myself sick to try and control weight, and it never worked until one point in my life, and that's when I got this. This is when I learnt this. An ex-Marine taught me this, a guy called Mark Cooper. He taught me this using the same diagrams, and I was like, holy fucking shit. It all makes... It don't make sense because you don't know the steps yet, but the strategy, I understand it, So what would it mean? I don't think I'm getting anything. Here we go. My willpower gets really affected by a bad habit I have just created myself. I know it right now, but could you come back to it when you think you might fit in? I weigh myself every day with the hope that if I lose half a pound, it gives me the motivation to continue that I got on. Yeah, I mean, we're going to do work on habits, Chloe. Yeah, so we're going to talk about habits and what you can do about them. But and there is, I can't remember what the phrase is, but it's one of the reasons why email is addictive and gambling is addictive. I think it's requisite frequency or some phrase like that, and it basically means that you never really know what you're going to get. It's like a little gamble every day, and sometimes you get on there and you're like, wow, that's incredible, and other times you get on there going, that is dog shit, and then you bang your head against the mirror, throw your scales out the window, and then and what research has shown is, you kind of think, well, if it's 50-50, that'd be quite good, and I can understand why I get addicted, but it doesn't need to be that, because the positive outweighs the negative. So we only need to have, I can't remember what the frequency is, like with the slot machines. I'll do a bit of research and I'll dig it out, but it's something like you only need 5% winners for the whole game to become addictive. 5%. So, it's not a lot, is it? In 2 weeks, you need to get on there one day, and for it to be exactly what you want to see or more, for you to go, oh, this is a great game. This is an amazing habit to get into, because at some point I'm going to have this mega elated feeling that I've fucking done really well on the scales today. Even though the other 13 days you feel like dog shit. Okay, these are all the things that are happening in our mind. It lets us down. Logically, we know we shouldn't get on the scales every day. Logically, we know our weight will vary throughout the week. It will vary throughout the month. It will vary throughout the day, And so logic says, lock your fucking scales away. In fact, logic says, don't even use scales to monitor your progress. Yet we do. We do. Because emotionally, we act on emotion. But we're going to look at habits. So that's that. Right, I usually seek instant things, i.e. meals, quick. If it's able to be sustained, this will change my mindset rapidly. Definitely. And when we come onto the habit stuff, that'll be really powerful for you as well, Hannah. This is my thing, and this is one of the reasons why we're running this founder member program, is because there is so much in here, in this freaking box, that I want you to learn. But there's only so much I can get out in an hour or an hour and a half, and it's about finding the things, and then in 6 weeks' time I'll look back and go, right, what was the big hitters? And you'll go, this did it for me, this was the thing, and I can box that up, and I know that's what will help people the most. When we talk about habits, I just want to paint a picture, and I always use this analogy of a lion tamer, right? With a lion, you've all seen a lion tamer, yeah? Give me a fucking lion emoji or whatever if you've seen a lion tamer. You look at a lion tamer in a circus, and you see this guy dressed up, and he's got a chair and he's got a whip, okay? And people think that, and a lion sort of sitting there, controlled by the lion tamer, and people think it's the whip that does all the work. It scares the lion into sort of doing what it's told. But it's not the whip. The whip moves and it makes lots of noise, but it's not the whip that does the work. What actually does the work is the chair. And the reason why the chair holds the lion at bay is because the chair's got 4 legs. And if it had 1 leg, the lion would just knock the leg out of the way and eat the fucking lion tamer. Because it's got 4 legs, the lion, being a bit of a primitive animal, doesn't know which leg is coming at it. And whenever we don't know, we kind of, we can become overwhelmed. And when we're overwhelmed, we are forced to sit back and wait and be reactive. And the lion sits there thinking, right, whatever leg comes at me, I'm going to knock that out of the way and I'm going to chew his face off. Okay, but of course we know no leg will actually come at it. And the lion tamer will always keep the 4 legs around the lion's face so he doesn't really know what's happening. And that's how he controls the lion. And that is like life. When we become reactive, we are forced to sit back and we just deal with whatever comes. Okay? And the way that our brain functions, we don't always see those important things. So we go, right, okay, I just want a quick meal, bang, 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 let's get, instant meal. That's not logical. And you might change it in the future. But by being like that, we're forcing ourselves to be reactive. We're not being proactive. The minute we start being proactive, and it's actually one of the things I want to talk about in a minute, nutrition starts to change, but it's counterintuitive. Does everybody understand this idea that the way that your mind works is letting you down? Does everybody understand that? Yeah? And it's this frame of reference thing again. You might look at it and go, well, that's how the brain works. You need to do something counterintuitive to get the results you want. You need to think in a different way. And what we're saying, right? Rachel's saying that would be a hallelujah moment. Thank goodness for spell check. Yeah. Yes, love it. Little lion emoji. She found one. I batch cook and freeze meals. Brilliant. Good. Do you do that on the same day every week, Janet? Or so I'm always have food ready. Brilliant. You're proactive. You've got the chair out of the way and you are cracking on. Overwhelmed is my most common emotion, especially at the moment. It's a difficult feeling to understand compared to others. Yeah, and it's tough, or it can be tough. It's not until you start to strip off some of the pressures that you start to make progress. And you do that by by having routines, by being proactive, by instead of intuitively doing one thing, intuition says, right, well, I'll just eat clean. The counterintuitive thought process is, if I get all my meals sorted in 1 week, then I don't need, and the default setting is not, right, go and find something healthy to eat when I'm in the crash zone. What can I eat that's healthy? Oh my God, my willpower's fucking rock bottom, and you just end up fucking filling your face with shit. Now, the default setting is you go to the fridge, and I did it before I came online, get your box out with your salmon and whatever that's in it, and you eat it, and that's your default setting. There's a difference. Now, I don't expect you to go, bang, I'm there. This is how I live for the rest of my life. There's a transition period. But if we're not aware of it, we ain't going to get there. Okay, so that's that. On my days off. Brilliant. Good. And I hate cooking. I fucking despise it. The idea of standing in the kitchen and cooking food. No way. But I know. So intuitively, I don't like cooking. I don't want to be doing it at all. Counterintuitively, I know that if I get my food in order, it's my keystone habit, or one of the keystone habits, douche, I'll crack on, right? That's how important it is. Okay, let's get into it. A couple of things that you can do. I'm going to talk about each macro. What I mean by macro is like food group, okay? There's 5 major food groups plus water, and each one, how do we need to eat in order to get this? Okay, now I want you to concentrate on what I'm saying. Remember, if I tell you what I am saying, I'm drinking tea, it's one thing. If you interpret it as what I'm not saying, right, we're saying tea, does that mean I can have coffee? It can be an infinite number of things. Concentrate on what I'm saying, not what I'm not saying, okay? People always say to me like, I might go, don't eat bread. And they'll go, what about naan breads? Well, it's fucking bread. What about like rye bread? Well, it's bread. What about fucking baps, rolls, tea cake, whatever you call them? It's bread, isn't it? So concentrate on what I'm saying. I love cooking. That's what it's more annoying. Thought there would be more of a lever to keep me on track, because I would have thought that would be more of a. Chloe, I've been talking to a proper foodie this week who's on Bootcamp, and she loves food. She, every year, her and her husband will pick out 15 restaurants that they want to visit in that year, and it can be a proper double-edged sword, because we can love cooking really tasty, good food, or we can love cooking healthy food. Emotionally, which one do you going to want? Do you fancy the straight A lad at school, or do you fancy the freaking naughty boy who's got a little bit of bloody intrigue about him? It's how our brain works. Okay, so how do we do it? First thing we're going to talk about, nice easy one to get into, is protein. If you don't know, protein is the building blocks of life. Ideally, we want lean meats, fresh fish, unless you're a vegetarian. I know there's a couple of vegetarians in here. In which case, you just need lots of variety in what you're eating, okay? Because, and I could go more into this if you really wanted to, but you can get this kind of information anywhere. Lean meats, okay? Just because I'm going to teach you that fat is not necessarily the problem, sugar is. Is this frozen or what? I don't know. Is this frozen? Tell me. But there are some fats, animal fats especially, that we just don't need to be eating, okay? So, lean meats. Now, what we want is, when we have our main meal, we want about the palm-sized bit of protein, okay? Now, for females, it's usually not that much of a problem that we eat too much protein, but as males, we can definitely eat too much protein. And we can also eat too much protein in isolation. If you, chew on a chicken breast, and you have just chicken breast, the body can actually change that into... or that can trigger the messages that we're talking about. And if you haven't worked it out yet, the message that puts us into the fat storage is insulin. We trigger insulin, it puts us into fat storage, and stops us, allowing us to tap into our fat as energy stores. And if you can definitely have too much protein to a point where you'll trigger that insulin, okay, it will metabolize it into energy, okay, so and that's going to trigger protein. So every food group is going to have some effect on insulin. Sugar is the one that has the biggest, followed by protein and all that. So we want about a palm-sized bit of protein. This weekend, I want you to concentrate on eating a palm-sized bit of protein with every meal. Okay? If you're vegetarian, you just need to be getting stacks and stacks of different vegetables on your plate. Okay, loads of different colours, just loads of different variety. The reason for that, and you may not know, is that in animal proteins, we have complete proteins. We've got all the building blocks that we need to do all the things we have in life. In plants, they are incomplete proteins. So you might have one vegetable, but there's not all the proteins in there. Yeah. So you need to have lots of different types of vegetables in order to get that. And if you eat beans and legumes and grains and seeds, then you can obviously do them as well. More on that later on. So that's protein. Pretty simple. Balance. You're right. Balance is key, Monica. It's definitely key. So that's your protein. Next thing, carbohydrates. Okay, so carbohydrates have the biggest effect on your insulin. Okay, especially white carbohydrates. So what I want you to remember is that vegetables are also carbohydrates, especially like starchy carbohydrates. They're going to have a real effect on insulin. All right, so I might say to you, right, okay, eat lots of veg. You might interpret that as, well, I can have lots of potatoes then. And this is what they do on Slimming World. I've seen some of the Slimming World meals where there's just a shit ton of white starchy foods on there. And they're allowed because of the SIN system and all this lot. But the effect it has on the messages in your body is just incredibly insulin spiking, which is what we're trying to avoid. So the key to the carbohydrates, then, you want lots of fresh veg, some fruits. Someone posted a picture about a smoothie at some point during the week, and I said I'm going to mention it in the webinar. This is what I'm talking about now. And with regards to fruits, I was putting fruit on my yogurt, on my porridge. The thing about fruit, let me talk about the main sugar that's in fruit is fructose, and the body has evolved through the 40 million years to use fructose in a completely different manner than it does normal, other sugars, simple sugars. What it would do when we evolved is it would, if you imagine it was seasonal, okay, so fruits are only around in the summer. What we would do is because of the daylight, again, more on this in the future, our body would trigger signals in our body would trigger signals in our mind to go and find sugar, because there was fruit out there was honey, there was sweet sap from some of the trees and all this kind of stuff, and we would feel compelled to go and get fruit, and we would gorge on fruit and berries and all this kind of stuff. And what we would do is fructose, we can't just use it like we use refined sugar. We eat refined sugar straight away, it's absorbed into the blood, sometimes in the mouth, but fructose has got to go down, get processed by the liver, and then we can start to use it, which means that we digest it in a different way. And what we would do is we would get fat on fructose. We would overeat on fructose to get fat, because what was coming later on, winter, where there was barely any food around, and this is kind of how we'd get through our seasons. The problem is we've got fruit all year round. We've got artificial lighting, so we never know truly when, it's dark outside now, but I've got artificial light on. My body doesn't know. My mind knows that it's middle of winter, but my body thinks it's summer. So, that my body is picking these signals up because it's not caught up with our last 10,000 years of evolution or society changing, and it's telling me to go and get sugar. Go and find fruit because it's out there. The light, because of the light, go and get go and get the sugar. Now, what I'm saying is, obviously, fruit. If you live on chocolate all the time, fruit is a good first step, but I think all of us now are at a stage where fruit is not really going to serve us. We need to be pulling back on the fruit. When I used to do personal training, I used to do freelance personal training around about in Somerset, and I used to come across women 35 to 50, and they had a little bit of a podgy gut, and they were like, I just want to get rid of this. I'd do 3 things to sort them out. First thing I'd do is reduce the amount of alcohol they're drinking. That alcohol, the sugar that's in alcohol, will sit on your gut. Yep. Next thing I used to do is sort the sleep out, because with sleep and the way that sleep works and willpower and cravings, it's a keystone habit. If we can sort the sleep out, we can sort out some of the signals in the body, and a lack of sleep will trigger cortisol in the body, and too much cortisol will cause body fat to sit around the waist. So I'd get them to sort the sleep out. And then the second one I would do is I would get them to reduce the amount of fruit they was eating. And those 3 things was usually enough to flatten out the stomach, get rid of some of the body fat around the stomach, and get them feeling generally better and making smarter food choices. So our first thing for this weekend, palm-sized bit of protein every time you eat. We, in the Western world, we eat meals that are predominantly carbohydrates all the time. Think about cereal with milk. Predominantly carbohydrates. Yes, there's some protein in the cereal. Yes, there's some protein in the milk, but predominantly carbohydrates. That is incredibly insulin spiking. Porridge with dairy, yogurt, and fruit, majority of which are carbohydrates. Little bit of protein, some fats. Incredibly insulin spiking. Hopefully you'll see the difference. Jacket potato with beans and cheese. Packed with carbohydrates. Some protein in the beans, some fats in the cheese, but predominantly the ratio of it is predominantly carbohydrates. Incredibly insulin spiking. You see the difference there, and we eat these foods all the time. Now we can change the way that food spikes insulin by introducing some fats and some proteins. But if we introduce too much protein, we can cause a similar high insulin spike. Is everybody getting this? Yeah, you just let me know if you're kind of getting this. I suppose I could try and put this into like a 1-page thing that kind of explains it a little bit better. My only carbs come from veg. Brilliant. Keto, I suppose. Should this keep my messages quiet? Yeah. I mean, think about keto. The only thing with keto though, Laura, is you can overeat protein. You can trigger or you can stop the ketogenic effect in the body by eating too much protein. It's a really common thing that people do. Like, I'm keto, I've lost loads of weight to start with, now I'm not losing a great deal of weight, and it's usually because they've increased their protein too much. What you need to do is moderate your protein, increase your fats. Okay, so think about that. What's this next one? By veg, I mean cauliflower, broccoli, peas, courgette, etc. Small amount of carrot, no potatoes. Good. Okay, remember that veg, Laura. I'm going to come on to that in a minute. Are green vegetables better than others? Green vegetables will keep you cancer clean, Chloe. Okay, they will keep you cancer clean. We do not need to spend money on cancer research and treatment and all that kind of stuff. Green veg will make sure you're wiping your own ass at 90. It will look after you. You know, as much green leafy veg as you can. Different types. Get them in your meals. You can't eat enough of it. So yeah, definitely erratic sleep is my problem. Monica, we need to focus on that because it's a keystone habit for a lot of people, and it might be the same for you. Remember, our willpower is reduced when we don't sleep well. Cortisol is pumping around our body. In fact, you may even want to pull back on your training until you've kind of got that in order. One thing that I would suggest you is get some kind of sleep tracker, whether it's a watch. Paula and I both have sleep tracking watches because sometimes we can feel like we've had a shit night, and then when we look back on our tracker, we go, oh, right, actually I've had 7.5 hours, that's fine, and we feel better. So we ease off and sleep better because we know we are actually getting sleep. So if you haven't already, get yourself a sleep tracker and focus on that. That's got to be the thing that we really work on. The key to sleep as well, similar to your health, is you got to start to value it. You know, it's one of those things that we're happy to give up when life gets really busy. Like, okay, I'll just sleep less. You know, well, you need to value it because it's really important. Hannah, I'm still here. Don't know if you've lost me or whatever. When you say sort your sleep out, can you expand? let me do separate training on sleep, because we're an hour and a half into this now, and I don't want these trainings to be too long, because I think I can give you one or two things for you to pick up and use and get some incredible results easily, rather than you try and sip water from a fire hydrant. Okay. Yes, obs. I take it you're still trying to pick up the signal there. No. Yeah, catch up later, Hannah. Hopefully you'll pick up this later on. My sleep is my major issue. I really struggle with my sleeping pattern. I think that's my biggest problem. Okay, if you've even got the slightest thought, inkling that sleep could be your problem, probably sleep that's a big problem. All right, now it's not going to be everything. The sleep is not going to, if you're pigging out and you're drinking loads of alcohol, you can't blame all that on sleep. But it is a massive keystone habit. We will do some training on valuing sleep, cleaning out your sleep, sleep etiquette, all these things, which are incredibly, incredibly important. We will do training on that. For now, we'll concentrate on these first things. Next thing we need to do, we want to avoid white carbohydrates. Okay, remember, concentrate on what I'm saying. White carbohydrates. If you look at food and go, this is a white carbohydrate, we want to avoid it or replace it or reduce it. Okay, if we can't get rid of it, reduce it. What I used to do if I bought a sandwich, when I first started to get a grip of this and start to lose weight, straight away I would ditch half the white bread. Just ditch it, and then just have a sandwich with half the bread. It's a great first step. And then eventually I would start to have sandwiches where I just ditched all the bread. I'd eat the filling out of it, ditch the rest. Okay, baked potato, ditch half of it. Reduce the amount of cheese that you're eating. Laura, we talked about cauliflower. Just reduce the cauliflower down a little bit. Potatoes, want to avoid it, reduce them or replace them. Bananas, another one. Okay, and anything that's made of white carbohydrates. So you might look at a brownie and go, well, that's a brownie. It's brown, but we know it's made up of refined sugar and flour, and cereals. We want to reduce all these white carbohydrates. That's another focus for the weekend. First one, protein every time we eat, palm size for a meal. For your snacks, it wants to be about half a palm size. Your palm, not your husband's. Okay, so it's relative to you. Avoid white carbohydrates. Okay. If you eat starchy carbs, so what I mean by that is potato and all that kind of stuff, no more than a fist in your meal size, okay? No more than a fist. Now, I went to Paula's sister's once, and a boyfriend at the time, and said, Craig, can you help with my food? I'm really struggling. And we called in at a mealtime, and I looked at his plate, and not only was it all beige, there was no colour to it, there was 3 different types of potato on there. And he's like, I'm eating potatoes, so I'm eating quite healthy. Ugh. Compared to what? Because that meal there, not only are you overeating, as in the volume of food, the signals you're sending are through the roof. Okay? So fist starch foods, if you want to eat more, if you're a bit of a greedy guts like I am, then you go for your non-starchy carbs and you can have 2 fists of that. Okay? So that's that with the carbohydrates. Okay, last couple of minutes. Start thinking about your final questions, and we're going to start wrapping it up. But those 2 things are going to massively help getting protein and avoiding overeating protein and avoiding white carbohydrates are a big, big first step to controlling the messages in the body because of the ratios of the food. The next thing is fat. I mentioned earlier on that I'm going to teach you how you can make your porridge better in regards to the insulin that it spikes. So first of all, reduce the amount of porridge you're eating. If you're having a massive bowl, then that's too much. Go for as good a quality protein as you can. This cheap stuff that you can get in Costa and Starbucks and all that now is just incredibly refined and therefore incredibly insulin spiking. So good quality protein as you can, and add some nuts. Instead of having your dairy and fruit, add some toasted almonds or just throw a handful of nuts in there. But add some kind of fats, because by adding the fat to the carbohydrate in the porridge, you're going to slow down the release of of sugars into the bloodstream, into the digestive system, and therefore you're going to slow down the release of insulin. I hope you get that. God, is cauliflower white carb? Yes, Chloe. Cauliflower is a carbohydrate and it's white. If I have to get some food out, I take half the bread out. Brilliant. Okay, same with the cauliflower, Chloe. You know, we need to understand that there's no good food, no bad food. Right? Food is just food. It's just the context. So if you're eating lots of cauliflower, that's a problem. Okay, if it's a moderate amount of cauliflower, well, that's fine. You know, is Quorn okay? Branny, Quorn is, as a vegetarian, I can understand why you want to get a substitute for the for protein. You don't need it. It's not great. It's not great because it fecks around with your estrogen in your body. Okay, if lots of Quorn, it can give them boobs, because of what it does with your hormones. Okay, so if you can pull back on your Quorn, it's incredibly refined and processed, then that's a good thing. It's one of those things where just dial it back a bit and then keep dialing it back and just know that if you're eating lots of different types of veg, you're getting everything you need. You don't need to be having Quorn, because you should be getting everything in the meals if you're having lots of different variety in your vegetables, and you could even throw a few beans and all that kind of stuff, although we're going to talk about that another training. So hopefully that answers your question. I've swapped white rice for carrot and swede mash. Brilliant. However, whenever you roast something in the oven, if it goes black, yeah, that's because the sugars in the food are caramelizing. Now, if you roast carrot and sweet potato, it goes black, doesn't it? You know, and that's an indication of how much sugar is in there. So carrot is incredibly sweet. So you want to just pull back on the carrot a little bit and maybe even swap it out for a butternut squash or something like that. Swede, you're pretty good with swede, to be honest. Look at the sugar in Quorn. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I've never looked at the sugar in Quorn, but yeah, it's definitely something to worth looking at. I used to deliver liquid glucose to their factory. Gee, oh my God. Yeah, have a look at it. And this is what I mean by refined and processed. You just don't know what they're putting in there to make it taste nice. Where can I find out about the types of food? I had no idea collie was a white carbohydrate. You'll learn it, Hannah. There's no reason to get freaked out by it or think, oh God, I'm overwhelmed by all this. You'll just pick it up. You know, like my post, was it this morning or yesterday when I said about, you know, just get to the first bend and then you'll be able to see the next bend and the next bend. And you're just going to learn this as we go along, and we talk about it more, and I post stuff on Facebook, you work through the online training. You're just going to learn it. So you're going to pick it up. You're in the right place. I now have a salad dressing on my salad. I find it more filling, high oil, but very low sugar. Is this okay? Brilliant, Laura. Absolutely brilliant. There's always ways of making it better, but it's a great thing. Now, you know, by adding the fats, what are you doing? You're reducing the insulin spike from the salads. So, you know, it's definitely a great thing. Thank you, Craig. No worries. Thank you for saying thank you. On Monday, I went to the gym and drank 2 litres of water and I had 2 cappuccinos, and I didn't actually eat until dinner time that day. And I had chicken stir fry, no noodles, just veg. Is he not heavy and satisfying? But he's messing around, just complicating more. I don't understand what you're saying. What your question is there, Chloe. Just try and reword your question so I can kind of. So I went to the gym and drank 2 litres of water and had 2 cappuccinos. I didn't actually eat dinner until. Are you thinking like, you know, having dinner late and the cappuccinos and all that? Let me come on to the last slide in a second, and it might answer that, what I think you're trying to get at there. Okay, so in regards to vitamins and minerals, lots of colour on your plate. We'll talk about that later on. There are remember the default meals in your member area. Okay, so get in the members area, look for the default meals, and you can see the different default meals in order to be sort of proactive and what you're eating instead of reactive. And you can have a look at my default meals. Okay, this last thing, Chloe, when I said about, you know, your meals and everything, some of you have posted questions and saying, right, is this right? Is this wrong? Yada, 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 yada. Now, here's the thing. You've all should have been super aware of what you're doing this week, okay? And we're going to run it. We're planning for the weekend. When we get to Monday, we're going to weigh ourselves and we're going to get a result, yeah? And you're going to send me the result so I can see how you're getting on. Now, so this is the measure, yeah? We measure what is happening. And throughout this week, you need to be super aware of what you're actually doing. Some of you might have kept the food diary that we talked about. You kept the training diary, all this kind of stuff. And that's your kind of monitor. You become aware of what you're doing. And when we run that, we can then check it again. And this is where we start to modify it. So if we get to Monday and we weigh in and we've lost 2 pounds, brilliant. Carry on going. Now you will want to swap it out and change it up because that's intuitively, we like new things. Remember how we started this webinar tonight? We like new things, but the logical counterintuitive thing to do, the thing that's going to get you the results, is to run the same thing again, and run it until it either gets better or stops working. Yeah, hopefully you kind of get that. If you get on the scales and you stay the same, we need to modify it. Therefore, Chloe, you might look at it and go, well, do I need the 2 cappuccinos? Probably not. Shall I drop it down to 1 cappuccino? Shall I just bring my dinner a little bit earlier, which might stop me having schnaffling snacks in the evening or whatever, okay? But we can kind of modify it. And if we put weight on, we can then look at what we've done and work out where we could have kind of gone wrong and what we can change, run the program again. And this is kind of what we're doing. We're constantly chipping away at it, working out, find something that works, then we're following it. Even though we will want to naturally find something new and do something different, we're going to follow it until we no longer get the results. And then we'll shop it up, change it from there. What we're saying, just found this link. While listening, obviously, more detail about carbs in veg. Best veg is green. That's what we said. Brilliant. Just having 1 sufficient meal a day. Could it work, or should I have 3 meals a day? Whatever works for you, Chloe. We could talk in the future about, well, in fact, one of the tips I'm going to give you in the future is to narrow your window of eating, but that's a bit more advanced than I want to get into right now. So that's that. Guys, we're going to wrap it up. That's an hour and 44 minutes. Just give me an indication of what this training has been like. Be brutally honest, because I want to make sure it's right for you. Has it been too long? Have we done too much? Has it been just right? Is it? Have you learned stuff? Do you know what are the next steps clear to you? Just right. I've got a lot of thumbs up there, so I presume that's good. But if you could just give me a little bit more feedback, it'd help me change and make sure this training is how you guys need it to be. Yeah. So, and what you can also do as well is just, if you had one major learning point that you've picked up tonight in this training, what is that learning point? Okay, and stick it below. I'd be quite interested to know what really resonated with you, what you think is going to have a big impact on your weekend, because our first bend in our river, remember my analogy of making your way down the river, our first bend is Monday. Let's get to Monday. From Monday, we're going to be able to see the next bend and then the next bend. Okay, so we're aiming to get through the weekend, and we are all focusing on getting through the weekend. Okay. What do we got? So really interesting. I feel I might need to watch again to digest. Yeah, good. One of my mentors says you should watch things twice, because once kind of makes room in your head that the fact that your frame of reference is actually potentially incorrect. The thing that you've been bouncing off is potentially wrong. The second time through, you can then take the true learnings from it. Yeah. So, really, really think about that. There's a lot of value in the replay webinars, lots of repetition, because although I'm repeating stuff sometimes, it's you need to go through, because if you watch this webinar again, it's almost like watching a different webinar, because your mind will pick up on other things. How many times do you we kind of think that when we're paying attention, it's a straight line. But what we actually do is we pay attention. Something resonates with us. We drop off. We apply that to us. How is it relevant to us? We go on this trend of thought, and we're like, and then you go, oh shit, he's talking. Right, concentrate, think, and we do this all the time. Boof, 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 boof. We don't have this straight line of learning. So you might want to go through the webinar again. What we got? Mind blown. Chloe, I can't get any better than that. Mind blown. However, an overwhelming, but in a good way. It doesn't need to be overwhelming, because we've got simple points. Palm-sized bit of protein. Replace, reduce, or avoid the white carbohydrates. Really interesting. I might feel I need to watch again. Just a couple of things. Excuse the pun. Might take notes. You might take notes next time. And if you might, maybe you could. And if you could, maybe you should. I need to listen to the first hour, but the bit I listened to was great. Thank you. Very informative. Excellent. I need to listen to the first one again. Shit, what have we done here? I messed up the comments. Oh no. Maybe a bit longer than I thought, though. Yeah, definitely long, Monica. Maybe I bit off more than I could chew. The food. Spikes were a big learner. Good. Just not too sure at the minute how I conquer them. Hannah, you start just by what I'm teaching, the things that I'm saying. Concentrate on the white carbohydrates is the start of it. Okay. And what I need you to understand as well is that when you're eating well, it's actually quite boring. It's quite mundane, because food no longer becomes that thing that changes your emotion. That can be quite hard for people to give up. I used to talk to Paula, and he used to say, look, you're gonna have to change this thing that you're eating, whatever it was, doesn't matter what it was. And she'd look at me sometimes and go, if I've not got that in my life, what have I got? It can be tough sometimes to give it up, and this is why I'm saying it's about what you're prepared to do without, not what you're prepared to do. I work in catering and done nutritional training, so this has reinforced, refreshed and inspired me to carry on, and our next bend is a lot of info, but very relevant, important. Thanks, been good, thank you. Second hand of the spikes were a learning curve, good. We're going to work on those for you. Love the lion. Throw another lion in again. Bernice is definitely getting excited by learning about food and how her body is working. Thanks, Craig. I think I'm getting through. I think you're all doing great. I've been taking notes. The emotions part was a real eye-opener, and I realise I do that myself a lot. I'm going to start applying that now to my daily life. Brilliant. Okay, that's it for this week. Every week I finish and I'm like, how do I actually stop this from recording? I don't know how to do it, but I'll work it out in a minute. I think we've got off to a great start with this coaching. I kind of get the idea that we're getting lots of value from it, and people are focusing on getting results, which is a good thing. But remember, the first week will always be the easiest week because it's new. Yeah, weeks 2, 3, 4, we might start switching off a little bit. We need to be aware of that and keep pushing on. Yeah, focusing on what's important. Okay, so remember that. Okay, guys, thanks again for your attention. Thanks for all your questions and all your comments. It's been a great little training session. The first one of our little 6-week course, really. There's more of this to come. I've got loads of other ways that I'm going to blow your mind. This last slide, just a little bit of a taste of what's coming in the future. I'm going to teach you, I'm going to show you how you can work out if your body is toxic and therefore holding on to weight. I'm going to teach you if you have fungus and parasites in your body and therefore maybe your sugar cravings are going nuts and the bacteria in your gut is just sending all sorts of different silly signals, whether you're actually digesting the food that you should be and not absorbing toxic bits and particles of crap into your system causing inflammation and stuff, whether you're eating at the wrong times, whether you're getting enough sleep, stress and all this is coming. Okay, so but in the meantime, focus on the little hitters that I've said. Have a little plan of your weekend, and I want you to post your goal for the weekend. How are you going to crack it in the group. Okay, and that is my closing comment. So great training, and I'll see you sort of in the Facebook group throughout the week. Take care, guys, and if I don't speak to you before, have a great weekend.